So strength, often, even if we're going for walks, particularly women of a certain age like me, your upper body's not getting a huge workout unless you're doing Nordic walking. So if you've got like cans of beans, or you've got 2 water bottles, or you might have actual weight, we can work the upper body as well. I'm going to do these moves standing, but you can do them sitting. It's absolutely fine. If you're doing them standing, you're working a little bit more into the legs and the core. So the obvious one to do is our bicep curls. That's the lifting and carrying muscle. Every time you get a cup of tea, lift your handbag, lift the dog, lift the cats, you're working this. For some of us, that's a bit boring, yeah? So if you want to, you can always do a knee raise at the same time. You can do this sitting as well when we're working 2 things at once. So then that gives you a bit more to do. The heavier the weight is fine. So a little bit of an ache down the bicep, these front bits, if you think of them as the Popeye muscles. And then just roll the shoulders down, holding your weight by your side. So you can be doing this sitting as well as anything. That just gives your shoulders a tiny bit of extra weight while it's doing the mobility. We're going to bring the weights up like a pair of Pat Butcher earrings in EastEnders. Now, when you reach your arm above the head, think of reaching for something on top of the wardrobe. So you can hunker down into the legs a little bit, bending the knees. You can squeeze your bum if you want, so you're working your legs and your glutes. But the stretch above your head, one side might be able to straighten, the other side might go, oh, that's enough. You're in charge of the that's enough move, yeah? So some people have got what we call bony spurs in their shoulders, but most of us have to reach up for something. You know, in the big supermarkets, often they put things up there that you need, like kitchen towel or loo rolls, now they're back. So this shoulder press, if you're a bit deconditioned, you're new to exercise, you might feel a bit warmer, you just stop, you can pause at any point, go and have a cup of tea and come back to it if you need. Arms by the side, we're going to work into the oblique muscles. These are the waist muscles. Most people think of the waist as this. It is, but it's also this bit, this mid bit at the back. So legs shoulder width apart, relax the arms, they're doing nothing. You're just allowing the weights to come down close to the side of your thighs. If you're sitting, it's the same thing, directly side to side. So rather than leaning forward or back, imagine your chest and your back are between 2 panes of glass. If your shoulders are happy, we can slide the weights up to the armpits. So nearly all of us have got stuff in the store cupboard. I've had girls in my classes use books. I happen to have weights, but I'm just doing it with cans of beans to show you. It doesn't have to be beans. Somebody said, does it have to be beans? No. As long as you can have 1 can of beans, 1 can of tomatoes, it's cans of everything. Just look at the weights and make sure they're sort of the average weight. And also you can use weights to do things like boxing. As long as they're light, keep hold of them. If you have arthritis in the fingers and it's hard to use weight, you can do boxing moves just with your arms. Yeah, so this is more upper body. So uppercuts, imagine you're punching somebody under the jaw. You're scooping the arms up and under. You can do it sitting if you need to. If you look at my legs, they're sort of doing a little bend stretch move. And then we're going to come forward, knuckles forward, stretching almost, unless you're a very aggressive person, you imagine you're punching somebody in the face. And I think all of us can think of somebody that we'd like to do that to. Remember, in the class, nobody minds. So that's a stretch work in the top of the shoulders, the deltoid muscles. Also, you might feel it slightly around the upper bits of the ribs. And then we're going to row back. So a row back move with the weights working the delts a bit, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Just a couple of those because I'm going to do that again when we've got the band. And then our triceps, and again it's one that we can do either with a weight or can of beans or bottle of water. We're going to bring the arms above the head and touch the weight behind the neck towards the shoulders. So you might feel you're arching your back. If you can do it in front of the mirror, just try and stand tall, and you might want to exhale. I've just kicked my water, but hey. Exhale, squeezing the elbows straight. If that's too hard, you can hold one arm for a bit of support, squeeze the fists and do one at a time. So the triceps, the bingo wing area as it's sometimes called, and we're just going to do a few on each side. So one side, if your shoulder's a little bit impinged, you might only be able to go forward. Try and bring it up so the elbow's high by your ear. And then anytime you need a rest or a break from any of those moves, please do that. You can use weights for the squats. So the chair's quite a good thing to do with a squat. You're just holding the weights like two shopping bags, and we're going to try and stand up. So that might be too hard. So pressing into the heels, breathe out, squeeze the bum on the way up, so we're working the glutes. So that's a bit of balance, a bit of strength in the thighs. Obviously, if you're a bit more conditioned, I've got people who've got a rucksack and they put loads of tins in the rucksack, so they're holding the rucksack on the back, and then they're doing a weighted stand-up squat. If you want a bit more support, if you've got a chair with arms on, you can press on the arms of the chair. If you've not and you still need a bit of support, hands on the thighs and press as you stand up. So that then is working the lower body, and the weight here is you, your torso. If you want to work harder, you can stand up with or without weights and stretch to the sky. If you need a rest in any movement, take a little breather, pause, come back to it. You should feel in control of the move, whatever it is that we're doing. So, cans of beans, really good for strength, upper body. It helps you build muscle mass, and it helps your bone density. So those of us who've had osteopenia or osteoporosis, it's a really good way of adding to the bone. Calcium, obviously, is part of that with your diet, but your bones will get stronger when you do this. And the other thing I'm going to recommend is a band. So the next section, we're going to do similar moves with a band. If you've not got a band, I've got somebody who's used old pairs of tights, even a dressing gown cord, just something you can push against. But order one online. They don't take long, they're not expensive, and they're really useful bits of kit. So our next section is going to be the band.